Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel and another online tutorial with Jenie Concept, where we'll be learning how to make this beautiful Asooke rose headband design. If you are just clicking in for the first time, you're highly welcome to my channel. Please don't forget to subscribe before leaving. And to all our old subscribers who have been following back to back, you guys are the real G and I love you all. Today's tutorial, the materials used include Asooke fabric. I'm sorry I did not take note of how many I wear because it's my leftover fabric. I made use of marco, scissors, measuring tape, matching color of thread and needle, as well as gum and your accessory for embellishment. So we are working on a headband design made with Asooke fabric. There's the band part, which is going to be padded with the marco to make it stiff, and then it's be covered with our fabric. And then there's this design in front of it, and at the back we have the rose design. So that's just what makes up this particular headband. Now moving on to the fabrics needed. This is the first piece of fabric that we're going to be using to wrap the headband. That is the marco, and it is 26 inches for the length. I went ahead to fold in both edges and I had it sewn down. Now I have my marco. The width for the marco is 2.5 inches while the length is 18 inches. Now the next piece of fabric is the fabric for the design that is going to be in front, and this is 45 inches for the length. Then I went ahead to fold in the edges of the fabric and sew it down so as to avoid fraying. Lastly, we have these two pieces of fabric for the rose design at the back. The length is 45 inches for each piece of fabric. I also went ahead to fold in the edges and sew down. Now I have the two pieces of fabric for the rose design here, and I'm going to be sewing it. Okay, remember I've already sewn down the fraying edge, so place one on each other, stitch down the short edge, stitch down one long edge, and then stitch down the second short edge. So you are going to be sewing down 3 sides. Now I'm done sewing, so I'm going to open this up so that we can see it. I'm going to be opening it up from the long side. Yes, the long side, one of the long side is the only part that is open at this point. So this is me opening it up and trying to adjust and set my fabric in place. As soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to get my needle and thread, and we're going to be using it to create that design that is at the back of the headband. Okay, so I have my needle and thread here. Please ensure it is doubled. I'm starting from the short edge. I'll start by passing my needle in and out. Mark you, what we are just doing here is the running stitch, just that we're starting from the short edge. We're going to do it along the long edge that is open, and then go back to the last short edge. So that's what we're doing here. So this is me making my running stitch through my fabric. So I'm going to go back to complete this, and as soon as I'm done, I'll get back for us to continue. You can see that part that is folded, that's the part that we sewn. So that's what will be at the edge. While this open edge, by the time we make our running stitch through it, we're going to gather it at the middle. Okay, then here I've gotten to the last edge. I've passed my needle through it. So what I'll be doing is I'm trying to set my fabric in place. You can see me placing one end on the other end in a round shape while I'm pulling my thread and needle very tightly. Okay, so it to be tight and firm. So this is it, and as soon as I've gotten it in place, I'll go ahead to use my needle and thread to tack through the middle parts of that design so as to have it secured in place. and that's what I'm doing right here. So let me complete this and then we'll get back. Next we're moving on to is the fabric for the mako. So I'm going to fold it into 2 equal halves and sew it down because the mako is 2.5 inches for the width and that of my ashoke is 6 inches. I'm going to be sewing it with half an inch allowance. Okay, so after sewing it like I have here in the video, I'll go ahead to turn my fabric inside out, and after turning my fabric inside out, this is it. Then I can get my mako and then go ahead to pass my mako inside my fabric. It's going to take a bit of time and it requires patience. So I'm going to do this gradually until it comes out from the other end. Just that the mako is a bit shorter than the fabric, so you have to ensure that the mako sits rightly inside the fabric. Okay, it should sit well inside the fabric. There will be a little bit of allowances at the edge of the mako. So this is it, my fabric with my mako in it, and observe that the sewn part is at the middle of the fabric. I have little allowance of fabric on each side of the mako. That is to ensure that it is sitting properly inside the fabric. Now that this is done, we'll set this aside while we'll get the fabric that I'll be using to create the design in front of it. Now this is my fabric. Remember, I've sewn the fraying edges and I have my gum here, so I'm going to go ahead to apply my gum on my fabric. Yes, just dab a little bit of gum and allow it to get dried a bit before you start creating your design, so that you don't see gum stains on your work. After applying your gum and leaving it to dry for a bit, please watch the way I'm going to be creating that design in front of it. Okay, this is me folding my ashoke in a slant form or in a slant pattern and then pressing it hard so that it gets glued down to the gum. So this is it, and then that design is going to be staying in front that way. So that's what I was just trying to illustrate or to check out. So I'll keep wrapping my fabric in that slanted format until I get to the end of the fabric. And this is it. I haven't gotten to the end. I'm just going to adjust my fabric, press it down properly so that it's all glued down together, and this is how it looks like. Now I'm going to get the mako, the fabric that has the mako inserted in it. If you have your candle gum and glue gum, you can make use of it, but also make use of my UAG gum. I'm going to apply my gum on the mako fabric, then place this my fabric design on it and glue it down together. So now that that is all done, I'll place it on my sewing machine and stitch down each edge so as to secure it in place. Now I have done that. I've stitched down the right side and stitched down the left side. So I'm going to fold both ends together and then use my needle and thread to tack both ends together so as to form that round shape. Now you can decide to add your velcro tape or elastic, or add a handle for tying, whatever you prefer. But I just wanted to close it up just to give me that Zaria cap form. Yes, that's what I wanted to achieve. So as soon as that is done, I have my headband ready. Then I will get the design which we worked on earlier, and I'm going to be placing this at the back of the headband where I just finished stacking. Then make use of my needle and thread to tack down the design down to the headband, and after which I'll go ahead to embellish with any accessory of my choice. And then after tacking, we have it this way. So I have a flower patch here. I'm going to go ahead to apply my gum on it, and as soon as that is done, I'll use it to embellish that back part of that rose design, especially so as to hide that sewing stitch made there. And so as soon as that is done, this is how it looks like when the applique is placed on it. So my headband is ready to be worn, and this is it when placed on my dummy head. You can see how beautiful. And leave a comment. Thank you so much for watching. Don't also forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't done so. Thank you so much for watching. Bye until our next tutorial.